Hey folks, welcome back to part 2 of the Athlete House. Today we are concentrating on landscaping. I haven't done any changes since yesterday, though I am immediately going to do one. What I was hoping to do here, my plan all along, and I know that sounds hilarious, my plan all along, but I wanted to I hate grass. I think how we do the typical American lawn is, environmentally damaging and just not great. So what I want to do is, and we're going to bring our gravel back, what I want to do is make it as if Vanessa had decided she didn't want grass, she wanted a more natural landscape, and is bringing it back to desert. Now, it's a little complicated because this part of Del Sol Valley doesn't have that desert texture. They've worked very hard to make this like golf coursey sort of green. And we're back. This is what I was thinking of basically, is to have the center portion be almost entirely sand and gravel, and then to have sort of a faded out border around the edges that would be the grass, shading back into grass again. And the next thing we're going to do to make this appear a bit more natural is to use a lot of rocks. We're going to use rocks. Rocks are a wonderful way to delineate changes in the landscape. I'm not going to do a full-on border because I think that would look too heavy and artificial, but at least a sort of unofficial marker of what I'm trying to do. By the way, I want to hear from you folks in the comments if you get a chance. Tell me about the Simlympics. How do you think the Simlympics work? Maybe that'll make an appearance in future builds if we find out something cool about it. Oh, I like that. Now over here, I had an idea, and I'm going to place the fountains first because otherwise it's hard to see, but I kind of want to have a water feature, a rock-based water feature. I think that would be really pretty. We're going to use the large spring water emitter, and I want to have it be pretty symmetrical. Not something I usually care about, but this time, yes. How are we looking? Okay, we are pretty symmetrical. I love this. I probably didn't need to go straight to the large ones. Let's see how the medium ones look. Awesome, that is a bit more doable, though I think I'm going to bring it in just one little bit. There we go. And here we are definitely using rocks to make a water feature here. I'm not going to plan it out too much. The only thing I'm going to do is I like to make it look as if water is coming out between the seams of rocks as opposed to coming out of the middle of a rock. I don't know why that drives me nuts. Call me crazy. I like my realism. This coming from me, someone who regularly does play that's like aliens and vampires and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. Certain things I like some realism with. But I'm not going to get too much into the weeds here. Now that you've seen what I'm doing, once again, I will be right back. Okay, I like how that looks. Let's go into live mode and see what we think. Ooh. I knew I would put a mesquite tree in here somewhere because I think it's one of the best trees we have. It's so pretty. And I love using it in this part of the lot because it isn't going to block any of your gameplay, right? You aren't going to find yourself unable to see what's going on in the house because of this particular tree placement. Then again, with it there, I don't know that we necessarily need... Yeah, let's go more like this. Oh yeah, we actually don't need a lot of this. Bring these across. When I get excited about my builds, I always sing about them. I love lavender, and that's in keeping with Vanessa's love of, you know, jewel tones and pretty colors and such. You see these particular pink flowers from Base Game Debug all over Oasis Springs. So I definitely want to give them some good representation. I like them smaller rather than bigger though. So yeah, here we go. Remember how I said last time that Vanessa really likes a very femme presentation in her life? I think we're going to go ahead and give her this umbrella table. Again, fully base game. I put down white chairs and then I zoomed in and saw that this table is actually a pale pink. So let's go ahead and use these pink and white chairs to go with it. I actually think that's really cute. And while we're thinking furniture, let's go ahead and bring in just a couple of loungers. And thanks to the pack that came out just before, or excuse me, thanks to the patch that came out just before Island Living, we do have a couple of really nice looking lounge chairs. Now these have all sorts of patterns on them. You know, you can get ones that have tacos or flamingos or things like that. But I really think just these simple white ones with the coppery, yeah, the coppery bases are really good. Okay, remember how I mentioned that I would want her to be able to use some exercise equipment outside? We're gonna do some of that. So what breaks in rain is really things that are electronic. So there are a couple of exercise machines, such as this one here. And the boxing bag that we can keep right outside with no drama. What I will do is put down maybe a sort of mat beneath it. We do have, let's see, I think in decorations we have, probably not in base game, we do have the no sweat, no fuss rug. And in keeping with our love of blue, let me just make that smaller actually. I just want the equipment to not be on bare sand. I like that. I like it. That works. Head outside. Get some exercise. It does rain in Oasis Springs. It really does. So eventually these will be hit by lightning and made unhappy. Unless, ooh, here's an idea. Unless, and I just grabbed one of the roofs in the house and dragged it over. And I want to move this back so it's entirely under this little pavilion. Oh yeah, I bet when Vanessa's not living here, because it's a rental, right? And I bet when Vanessa's not living here, that holds like a hot tub or, you know, there's a dining table and a grill beneath it, that kind of thing. I'm going to fix this and I'll be right back. And here's the finished product. I didn't do anything elaborate. I just had to kind of mess with the columns to make them work with the roof placement. I changed the color to white and I extended the columns to match the height of the roof, given that I was basing it off the height of the house. And we elevated the foundation by one step. So I needed to compensate for that in the height of the little pavilion. And so here we have it. We have a little exercise machine pavilion for Vanessa. No room for it inside, so we're going outside. And this, of course, has no tile count, so it doesn't interfere in any way with the tiny house identity of this build. And our exercise machines are, of course, base game. Okay, here I am adding a few lights. Okay, that looks after the pool. That looks over the pool, which looks really nice, and I'm glad we have that. Nice. Let's see how our star athlete enjoys this. There we go. She's gonna work out like a champ. Okay, with that settled, let's fill our little grass pieces that I said would be useful last time. I promise I meant it. We are going to use our smaller palms here. We're going to use the Washington palms as opposed to the desert fan. Oop, as I immediately use a desert fan palm. And up front, we are going to have one more mesquite tree. I just think they're so gorgeous. Now, this is one of the elevated planter pieces, so I'm going to bring it up a bit. Just a little too far. Now, I would be doing this with tool ordinarily to make sure I get the kind of precision I like. But with this being a mod-free build, I'm just going to use our typical keyboard cheats to get that up there. We also have, once you go into debug, as we mentioned earlier, a whole bunch of different plants or different swatches or slightly different sizes for Oasis Springs. I want to take full advantage of those options. Isn't that gorgeous? I love the size of that plant. I think it's beautiful. Given our desert sand, we're going to use a few cacti to delineate the difference between the path and the planters. Some of these cacti look like they've been inflated. This one especially seems like it should be kind of waving around in front of a car dealership. But these are a bit more restrained. I like a restrained cactus. I also want to add a few daisies, not a ton of them, just a few. They're all over Oasis Springs. Once again, they're one of the most common flowers you see in the world, so I want to acknowledge that. Oops, a little bit of fixing of terrain paint that needs to happen. Oops, over here as well. We also need some trash cans, so I'm gonna use this black one here and just kind of tuck it away off to the side, or even more off to the side. Kind of like it more over there. You can't see it as well from the street. So I promised a bunch of color out front, and I seem to have given you more brown than before. So what I was hoping to do is use some of our bright base game flowers. Just a few. I'm in love with these molten volcano flowers. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is the most important planter. It's the one people are going to see first. This one and the mesquite one next to it. So let's make sure we're giving at least a bit of a show. One more time, fixing terrain paint. I can't stop thinking about it as makeup. I seriously think about it as makeup all the time. Like a build putting on its face. They say blending. They say blending is important for makeup. It's funny, I haven't worn makeup in about 20 years. All right, a little bit more color is needed over here. We're gonna take advantage of some of these base game flowers. Oh, I like that so much. I am pretty happy with just this concrete center. We're gonna bring in an indoor-outdoor rug. For going back and forth between the doorways. Yeah, there we go. And the last thing that we're going to stick under here is our treadmill. You know, incredibly useful for Vanessa on days when it's difficult to go running because of weather. Not that that would stop a world-class long-distance runner. But you know, for just a bit more conditioning. The final touch we're going to give the outdoors is a couple chairs out front here. Like I said, she's not going to be entertaining here, but at the same time, it's useful to have a place to talk to a visitor, a solicitor, whatever, without having to go into your house. So she's going to have this little space up front where she can talk to people without having to go into the house. It's in the shade of the mesquite tree, so it's lovely. Oh, it's so easy to mess up. It's so easy to mess up. Guess what? Those of you who are yelling at the screen, that's from Get Together. We're totally right. I'm putting one more here just to alert people to that step. And out here, I'm going to use candles because she would love that touch. She would love that. In looking at what we have, we need a few more of these daisies. And once we have those, I will feel really happy with this. Obviously, I'll go back, fill in some more terrain paint to give the various flowers some dimension. Okay. Yay! All right, thank you so much for coming along on this video. And it would mean a great deal to me if you would consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. I have just gotten back into YouTube in a big way, and I'm trying to learn from amazing people and come up with my own style. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, and I will see you next time.